note that all the commissioners are accounted for and we have a quorum. And we'll start off with a prayer by Commissioner Murray, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Father, this December we thank you for the abundant blessings, for the gift of life, and for help we need to fulfill our purposes and responsibilities. We offer prayers for the needs of our community and its family. While we have many reasons to celebrate today, we also recognize that the holiday season can bring challenge. We ask that you be with those who face hardship and sorrow, and please grant us peace in our homes, peace in our hearts, and peace in the world around us. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have a full agenda tonight. We want to start off with the approval of the minutes from the November 12, 2025 commission meeting. Motion to approve by Commissioner Kronborg, second by Commissioner Murray. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Kronborg?
Yes.
Commissioner Murray?
Yes.
Commissioner Braden?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Commissioner Merritt?
Yes.
All right, now we want the approval of the 2024 special caucus meeting. Motion to approve by Commissioner Merritt, second by Commissioner Braden. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Merritt?
Yes.
Commissioner Braden?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Commissioner Kronborg?
Yes.
Commissioner Murray?
Yes.
All right, so we have a special audit presentation tonight with Heather Cochran. So Heather, you want to take the podium and fill us in?
Thank you for having me. You should have in front of you a bound copy of the audited financial statements and then a separate letter that we issued to you all. So we'll start with the bound financial statements. These are your June 30th, 2025 audited financials. There are 2 reports in this booklet that are our reports to you. The rest of the information is your financial information that we put together in this format, once a year. So the first item I want to cover, it's on page 1 and 2, and that's the independent auditor's report. And if you look at page 1, at the the second paragraph under the title opinion, it's the very first 2 paragraphs. The second paragraph reads, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects. That's a clean opinion. That's what you're looking for when you get an audit. I always tell people that's kind of as good as it gets, okay? So that's the wording you're looking for there. The rest of the information in the opinion just tells about responsibilities and that sort of thing. But the opinion itself is in that second paragraph. Then towards the back of the bound booklet, there is another report. It's the Independent Auditor's Report on Internal Control and Compliance. And that's on page 52, 53, and then 54. This is a report because you all are a city, you're a governmental entity, you're required to have this governmental report in accordance with governmental auditing standards. We're required to tell you all if we find any problems with non-compliance with laws, rules, and regulations, as well as deficiencies in internal controls. So there was one item which we'll talk about, but in the grand scheme of things, this particular item, if this is the worst thing that ever happens, this is not a big deal. So I just want to start off by saying that, because it is in here because I'm required to put it in here, but just start off that it really isn't that big of a deal. But if you go to page 54, it talks about what we found. And what this is we're calling this what we call a significant deficiency in internal control. And it's related to something called subscription-based IT arrangements. Last year, the governmental accounting rules changed related to these particular types of arrangements. And these arrangements are things that span multiple years. You enter into a contract, you pay on in multiple years. Well, GASB, Governmental Accounting Standards Boards, now requires you to recognize those items as an asset and a liability on your financial statements. It's not something that you all have had to do typically in the past. It's new. And so this year when we were doing your audit, we did find one of these long-term agreements that we had to record. And like I said, in the grand scheme of things, it's really not a significant issue, but I'm required to put it in here. So all we're recommending here is to say, to improve how you go looking for those arrangements, making sure that you compile a list of them, so that way when we come in and do the audit, you all know exactly what they are, and that we can make sure that they get recorded correctly. So like I said, it is required, so that's why it's in here. But like I said, if it's the worst thing that ever happens, like, not that big a deal, okay? So I just wanted to point that out. The rest of this information is your financial statements, so it's your numbers. You all had, we go to page, let's see. Oops, too far. Go to page 15. That's the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance for governmental funds. That shows your total revenues were just under $8 million. Total expenditures were a little over 9.6. Now, that includes capital outlay for the fire station that you all are doing. That's probably the biggest difference this year to last year if you were to pull up last year's financial statements. And then you also issued some debt related to that same project. So that's included on page 15 as well. If you go back a couple of pages, on page 13, that's your balance sheet for your governmental funds. You'll see there that your total assets are a little over $12 million. Total current liabilities are $679,000, and then total fund balance, what's left over, assets minus liabilities, is a little over $11 million. So in the grand scheme of things on your balance sheet, you guys have quite a bit of cash, quite a bit of investments. Y'all are pretty, especially for your size. So that total fund balance there at 11 million, I mean, that's a pretty healthy fund balance for a city your size. So those were really the items that I wanted to go over in the bound financial statements. You have this separate letter here. This is a required communication with you all. We're required to communicate certain things outside of the audit every year. Most of the time these would include things like if we had difficulties in dealing with management, if we had some kind of disagreement. There's not anything like that in this letter. It basically says there wasn't any disagreements, there was no difficulties. We didn't have anything really of note. We have a couple of items on here related to those subscription-based IT arrangements where we made the adjustments related to that, so you'll note that on the second page. But otherwise, there's not really anything of note in this particular letter. So I just want to point it out. We are required to communicate certain things with you, and those are in there, but not really anything outside the norm.
Any comments from the commission?
Sounds good.
No, thank you very much. I think all in all, the city's in very good financial condition.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you very much for the report. All right, now we have a special guest, a friend to everybody in Taylor Mill for sure, our current state senator, Chris McDaniel. Chris, you want to give us a little update on the upcoming legislative session that begins in January?
Begins in January. Comes around
Putting
this
on a new
time
face
every
for the
year.
legislature, I see, too.
Yeah. Like a lot of you guys. This is a product of one of my daughters saying, "Hey, Dad, do you think?" And the answer is, "Of course." And your daughters ask, right? So, yeah. But no, thanks for having me again. I do appreciate it, and it's always good to be back. And obviously, in Kentucky, we have two different types of sessions. We have long and short sessions. Long sessions are in even-numbered years. Short sessions are in odd-numbered years. Short sessions are a fairly modern thing. They just came about the year 2000. Before that, Kentucky only met once every 2 years. And so by Constitution, these long sessions that we're going into are where we do the budget for the Commonwealth as well as the road plan. And those are 2-year plans. So we'll be doing those this time around. I chair the Senate's Appropriation and Revenue Committee, which means that there's 3 versions of the budget: the governor's version, the House's version, and my version. And so I author and negotiate one of the 3 versions of the budget, so it will definitely keep me very busy. I've always been very fortunate to have good relationships with you guys and the other councils. We do this to serve people, to try to make the community better, and I'm honored to be a part of the overall machinery of government for people. So anyway, the budget will be the central focus this time around. We spend about $16 billion of what we call general fund money. That's tax money that routinely comes from Kentuckians. We also spend a lot of federal funds restricted funds, and some other miscellaneouses. All totaled, the two-year budget for the Commonwealth will come up to about $135 billion that does get spent. Inside of that, this will be a little bit tighter year than we've been used to in the past. Some tax receipts have begun to tighten a bit. Not terribly, but it certainly is presenting a case where obviously we have expenses that are increasing, be they in the retirement systems or fuel or health insurance or Medicaid costs or whatever the case is. We do have a lot of expenses that are increasing pretty dramatically at the same time that revenues are not necessarily keeping pace with those expenses. So we'll have to be prudent about how we do things, but it also will not be impossible. Having come into this role shortly after the Great Recession's effects were starting to go away, but knowing the tail that those things have in governmental finance, I've dealt with a lot worse than we'll be dealing with this time around. Some other things that will come up is the road plan. Obviously, the road plan is big for all of us, and making sure that we try to get our fair share back to northern Kentucky is very, very, very important. We have worked collaboratively on a lot of road things in Taylor Mill and Covington and Erlanger, Edgewood. I try very diligently to work with everyone on the needs of the local community. That will come around again. The road fund, give or take, is about $1.5 billion a year of spending. It's much smaller than the general fund, but it's also much more specific in terms of what it is that the road fund is able to do. Obviously, we will have a lot of road work in this area over the next couple of years between the Brent Spence Bridge going, the 4th Street Bridge, 536 continuing, lots of others. There's just going to continue to be a lot of road work, and I'm fortunate that we got the Brent Spence Bridge after all the years of fighting for it, but we're about to get the traffic of Brent Spence Bridge, and that will be a huge dynamic shift in this region for a while as we get through that. Some things that are kind of overarching commentary on things that are happening. Housing. As you guys know, housing stock and affordable housing are very, very problematic right now, and so we continue to look at ways to work on those things. And then childcare. Childcare continues to be a major expense for working families and something we've worked on a lot. Things that are unique to the cities this time around. Centralized collections continues to be a thing. I don't think it will have a huge push behind it, but it certainly sits out there still. I think you guys will be interested, obviously, some of the recommendations out of the Housing Task Force related to local planning and zoning, and you'll want to keep an eye on those. And then the other thing really that cities will want to keep an eye on is the short-term rental industry. They in my opinion, feel the need to take very aggressive action to protect their business model. And some of that is good for cities and some of that is difficult for cities. And different cities have different dynamics about how they feel about that. So you'll definitely want to be keeping an eye on what's happening with short-term rentals and the regulations that surround them this year. I kind of went through the nature of the session, some of a few of the big picture items I think we'll see, and then also some of the city-specific stuff. So, Mayor, if there's anything in particular you want to talk about, I'm happy to address it.
Well, I guess I think just one point, I've been reading about the short-term rentals and how they affect the overall housing market. Don't they take away from available housing that we're short on?
Sure. And it's an ever-growing segment of the housing purchases are going to folks that invest in these things. Now, the vast majority of people that own these, they don't own 50, 60 units. The vast majority of people own fewer than 10. But every house that it becomes a short-term rental is a house that someone's not living in permanently. It's just, and we all like to go places and rent an Airbnb or a VRBO or whatever the case is, but the macroeconomic effect is that it pulls housing stock out of what otherwise would be family housing. And so it's one of many things that are having an impact there.
So how many short-term rentals, do you know how many short-term rentals are in Kentucky?
I don't know the answer to that. I can tell you I've got it written down in Frankfurt, but I don't know it off the top of my head. But I did read that last year across the United States, something like 40,000 units in a single quarter were purchased and converted into that type of stock.
Okay. Anybody else?
I am not a fan of short-term rentals. I think that that's good for the over the Rhine or those kind of places, you know, but for a suburban area like Taylor Mill, I like full-time residential. I'm not crazy about rental properties because I think they can cause problems. They can become an eyesore. Not all of them, but some of them can. And I just don't think that the short-term rentals are good for a city like Taylor Mill.
Yeah, you know, and I think that having those viewpoints for and against expressed is important because, you know, like you say, what might work on the Bourbon Trail, right, has a very different effect than in Taylor Mill, and that has a different effect than Main Strasse. And you know, and so crafting something that strikes appropriate public policy is going to be important. And I think that, I don't know what that will look like yet, but I know that there's a lot of activity around it, for and against, truthfully. You know, I mean, there are a lot of folks that would just as soon see them outright banned. There's a lot of folks that want to see, you know, hey, it's come with an opinion, it's private property, do whatever you want, right? And so somewhere in the middle is the appropriate public policy that we've got to arrive at. I mean, you know, it's an industry that by and large was barely in existence when I went to Frankfurt, and that's only been 12 years ago.
Right.
But it's certainly blossomed in that time.
So the housing shortage, how does that affect density were they thinking about increasing the density for lots and things that are in?
You know, I don't know what will happen exactly. Obviously, a lot of that relates to local planning and zoning, and what is and isn't permitted. But certainly that's a viable option, you know, as you increase your density and increase the vertical elevation that goes with it. I mean, up to a certain point, you know, you can reduce the costs of the footprint of the building. And housing takes all shapes, right? It's everything from studio apartments up to mansions. And, you know, there's a market for people to enter into. And so there will be a lot of conversations about what that looks like and, you know, what's the appropriate role of the state government in determining these things versus the local government in determining these things.
And I think even as a city, we need to look at the proportionate amount of rentals in comparison to homes, not just rentals that are apartments, but people that are renting their homes. And I haven't seen all of that data for Taylor Mill. I've done a lot of the reading on that proposition that you're talking about. And it will be interesting to see because I think that can affect the character of the city.
And you know, certainly if you guys had an interest in knowing how many Airbnb hosts are in Taylor Mill or different ones, that's certainly something I can get from those guys. You
That
know,
would be
and-
good to have.
And yeah, I'll try to run that down.
Thank you.
Gotta get the right cards out.
We shouldn't have any Airbnbs in Taylor Mill.
No? Oh, well, there you go. Easy.
But we worked against that already.
We have an ordinance
Then
against it.
I can quit
We
hunting my
haven't been
cards.
sued yet. They're suing cities that don't allow it. Any other questions for the Senator?
We're good.
Well, Chris, you've always been a champion of Taylor Mill, and we appreciate all that you've done for us, the Wolf Road project, sewer study. So those are things that we really appreciate your hometown, and hopefully you will continue to do the best you can for us locals.
We always will, and, you know, it's easy to advocate for the place that shaped you growing up, you know, so appreciate everything that you guys do as well.
Thank you.
If I don't see you between here and there, I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas.
You too.
Thank you,
Thank
Chris.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Mom and
coming.
Dad.
Will do.
Yeah. Take care, Chris. Good seeing you.
Thank you.
Okay, so Christina, she's from the Cabinet of Health and Family Services, and she's here to talk about foster homes. Christina, how are you?
Hi, this is my supervisor, Jenny.
Hello, hi, I'm Jennifer Weehee, and I'm here with Christina
I'll
Niergar.
let you get started. I'm just gonna pass
Yeah, she's
out
gonna
some
pass out some
information real
goodies,
quick.
but, thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mayor Bell, for having us this evening, and the
Thank you.
Commissioner and the, City Council. I just wanted to, We have been going around to various city council meetings the past couple of months this fall, just to talk about the need for foster care and adoptive parents. We are with the state of Kentucky, so not just Taylor Mill, but we are actually housed right down
Right down the hill.
right down the hill in Latonia, but we represent all of Kenton County. Actually, the top 12 counties of the region is what we call the Northern Bluegrass region. And of course, Kenton County and Campbell County are the two counties that my team serves in. So I just wanted to share a little bit of information with you guys this evening. And we can also send this to you guys electronically to share. I can tell you some other ways some other cities have helped us after talking about the need for foster and adoptive parents in our community here in Northern Kentucky. And so we'll go to that. I'm going to let Christina get started with a few stats for you guys. Everybody loves numbers. It seems like you guys have had a lot of numbers thrown at you tonight. So we're going to throw a few more, and then I'll go into a little bit other ways to help.
Just to kind of give you an idea here locally, what it looks like for children in foster care and children removed from their homes. I'll start statewide though. As of October 10th, in the whole state of Kentucky, there was 8,678 kids in foster care, in what we call out-of-home care. The Northern Bluegrass region, which were broken down into 12 counties, Boone, Kenton, Campbell, but we go all the way down to like Harrison, Nicholson, Scott County, yeah. So Northern Bluegrass region, there was 1,220 kids in foster care. And then in Kenton County, again, this is as of October, Kenton County has 432 kids right now in foster care, removed, from anywhere in Kenton County. And then to kind of compare that with the number of foster homes that we have, though, we only have 74 cabinet foster homes and 67 what we call our private child care foster homes, which are those other signs you see like NECO, SAFI, DCCH, things like that. And then I have a few more numbers. Age-wise, people always kind of wonder, what that looks like. There's 371 kids in our region that were ages 0 to 5 at first removal from their birth family. 261 were ages 6 to 11, and 588 were ages 12 to 21. And a lot of people say 21, that's an adult. Some of our kiddos are able to extend their commitment beyond 18 to the cabinet. We can talk about that too here in a minute. And then, let's see. So I gave you the Kenton County number of foster homes. In our region, we have 519 foster homes. But when you compare it to that whole, whatever I just said, the 1,220 kids, we're only meeting about 43% of the need if each foster home only took one kid. If each home accepted a sibling group of 2 or 2 kiddos, we would still only be meeting 85% of the need. So we have a lot of kids. If they're removed from Kenton County, we don't have a lot of foster homes here. They might be placed out in Grant County or Scott County, so they're leaving their school, they're leaving, their community. It makes visits with their birth parents harder. The goal is that they have the visits with their parents and that they get to go back home when whatever the issue is resolved. And then I can hand it out to you guys too, but I just gave you some more flyers with some stats on there too, specific to Kenton County. So, you want to do that?
So as you guys know, and I just wanted to give a shout out to Taylor Mill. My children went to Taylor Mill Elementary and graduated from Scott High School. So just my daughter was, so this community is close to my heart. So plus obviously I live in Kenton County and work for the state of Kentucky. So, but also the type of families that we are approving now are not just your basic foster homes. They're relative caregivers. So they're your grandparents, your aunts, uncles, your cousins, your fictive kin, which is considered like a coach, a teacher, a mentor, somebody who has a close relationship with the child. So those are the types of foster homes we are approving, more so than your basic non-familial families who do not know the child, who are unknown. So that's where the majority of families that we are certifying come through, which is wonderful because it keeps the children within their family of origin and close. And we know that, that data shows that if a child can remain close with family members, that's less trauma for them in the long run. So, so just like I said, is a relative family family member, that consists of your grandparents, your aunts, uncles, cousins. Fictive kin is that close family friend or other who has a strong relationship to the child. For children 0 to 12 months old infants, they must have had a relationship with the child prior to placement. And then if a child is between 0 and 12 months, they should have had a relationship with the biological parent, sibling, or half siblings to a child. So as I said, some of the benefits of a relative fictive kin caregiver coming through is that it maintains contact to the family ties, reduces trauma, provides stability. And then I just wanted to say, a lot of the kiddos, like we often have, as Christina talked before, the biggest need is, as you can probably know from the information we provided, is teenagers. Oftentimes we don't have homes for teenagers and they're staying in our offices until we can find a suitable placement. And obviously we don't want to disrupt children who are in their school and rooted in the community from Scott High School and move them, say, down to, Taylor Mill, Scott High School, move them to like Georgetown or somewhere where we have a foster home. So we want to keep kids safe in the community as we can. So that's why we're always just looking for other ways to help spread the need on foster care and adoption. I'm going to let Christina go over the basic home, and then we're going to talk about other ways to help.
So, like Jenny said, my caseload of foster homes, like let's say if my caseload's around 30 foster homes, like the bulk of it now is those aunts, uncles, coaches, teachers, whatever. But we definitely still need the basic, I say like Bob and Sue Smith on the street that want to foster and, taking a kid and help. We definitely still need those homes. Not every family has somebody they can turn to or has an appropriate relative that can step in. So to be approved as a basic non-relative foster home, you attend one of our informational meetings. We hold like 5 or 6 of those throughout the year, and then it's followed by 6 weeks of class of foster parent training. And there's a few online trainings that's part of that. And then we do a home study, which is several home visits, lots of paperwork, just making sure, that a foster home is stable and healthy and all the things you would want to know if you were going to leave your child with someone. And then they basically go on a list and start getting calls pretty much within like 2 hours.
And you're
yeah.
approved. Would you want to see numbers of 10? No, but
Yeah.
sometimes that happens.
Yeah. What else?
There are
Oh,
go
I
ahead.
would say the approval process, I don't think you touched on that, is for the relative fictive kin homes though, the state finally did make the requirements less for those people. They don't have to do that full 7-week training to take in, their grandson or, niece, nephew.
There's less paperwork.
There's less paperwork, so it made it a lot easier on relatives to step into that role. There's financial support for the family while they're understudy.
Unless they're licensed, they receive the same
Yeah.
monthly stipend just like a basic foster home would. Because prior to, I don't know, it's been, and I can't tell you the exact year, but
Yeah.
before relative caregivers did not receive the same benefits financially as a basic foster home. And we knew that they needed it just as well as your regular foster parents. So the grandparents are now receiving a monthly stipend just like foster parents as if they were taking the children who were unknown to them.
Yeah, it was basically like, here's your 6th grandchild that you're gonna raise, good luck. So now they're able to
They're
get
able
the
to
support.
receive financial support to help care for their relatives. Also, people who adopt through foster care, there's a lot of financial benefits. They have an adoption tax credit. They receive a monthly stipend until the child's 18, medical card, and then free in-state tuition to any Kentucky public university or college. And then there was other ways to help.
Again, a couple of the flyers. A lot of people, may not be able to take on being a full-time foster parent. We have single foster parents. We have 2-parent foster parents. We have, some that stay at home, some that work full-time, whatever. But some if you're just not ready to foster, we have families that might want to start out as a respite home, which is basically just giving our foster families a break. If there's a weekend that they have to travel for work or whatever and they can't take the kiddo with them, we would need a respite home that's approved to keep the child. To become a respite provider, it's a 2-hour online training and some paperwork, not near as much as becoming a full-blown foster home. So we have some families that are strictly respite only, and they get used quite a bit.
Other
Just
ways-
spreading the word.
Yeah, spreading the word, letting us put yard signs, and a lot of the other city commissioner, or some city councils have posted our flyers and data on their website for the community to see, for the community to read and see, and also if you have a community newsletter, they put information in that. So Christina could provide that information to whoever she's been in contact with to be able to let us speak at this meeting. We greatly appreciate that. Does anybody else have any questions? On foster care, the need for foster care adoption in our community.
Any questions?
I do have a question. What's the greatest age group need of?
Teens, I think teens right now. But any family that calls me interested, every family has to decide, what age range is right for them. It's bad. Like, we struggle sometimes to place infants or 2-year-olds right now. It's just, we're so low on those basic foster homes. Because our relative fictive kin foster homes, they open specifically for their niece, nephew, whatever. They're not taking in, the other kiddos. But I would say teens and sibling groups, people that are willing to take a sibling group of 2 or 3.
We always have a huge need for medically complex, that's what we call it, medically complex children, like children who have a specific medical need that would categorize them, so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you guys for
Appreciate
letting
being
us
here.
know.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
great information.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Okay, did anybody sign up to speak? No? Okay. So, all right, so moving on to legislation. So we have Municipal Order 172, and we do have one volunteer for this spot. Jack?
This is Municipal Order number 172, Municipal Order of the City of Taylor Mill in Kenton County, Kentucky, appointing Edward Keeney to the Telecommunications Board of Northern Kentucky for the City of Taylor Mill. This is a term that will expire in 2 years on midnight, December 31st, 2027.
I'll make that motion.
Motion? Okay, thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Kromborg, second by Commissioner Murray. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Kromborg,
Yes.
Commissioner Murray,
Yes.
Commissioner Braden,
Yes.
Commissioner Merritt,
Yes.
Mayor Bell.
Yes. Congratulations, Eddie.
Speech.
Thank you.
There you go. Okay, so now we go to some unfinished business. This concerns the July 26th celebration discussion we had at the caucus meeting. And sort of the consensus was that we didn't want to proceed with that. But before we do that, I'd like to say, I didn't say much the other day when I was asked at the caucus meeting. So I'd like to just make a couple points. Yeah, I got one for you. So one of the reasons why we looked at having some type of a 250th anniversary was simply to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States. And some of the things that I felt like we needed to do was, I thought it was an event that would boost the local pride in our community, educate some of our citizens and youth about the country's history. I'm sure there'll be a lot of that nationwide as well as locally. And promote a civic pride in our community in Taylor Mill and have civic engagement, providing the event an opportunity to enhance the kids and things knowledge of the country that I think sorely we're missing that across the country. I think a lot of people don't really know much about the history, whether it's whatever the reason. And so try to inspire the youth and generations to understand the meaning of what it means to be a United States citizen. And as a government office, we need to show a little loyalty to our country, and that's one of the reasons why I proposed this, so we could show our loyalty to the country. And the various cities in Kenton County, I talked to a couple of the CAOs, and they're going to compile a list, try to compile a list of some of the events that some of the cities are planning. So until we actually see what's being planned, I'd like to hold off on negating it completely until we understand what the scope of the celebration for the anniversary will be. And so it could take a myriad, many different avenues. It could be in conjunction with a concert venue that we already do anyway, or plan on doing one or two. As far as the city being celebrated 70 years, that may have been a stretch, but it is true that the city of Taylor Mill was founded in 1956. Whether we want to continue with 57, I totally agree with that, so forget that, and just simply work on the opportunity to celebrate America in some form or fashion, whether it be a concert or whatever. Plus, as many of you already know, and I'm sure some of you told residents, I had committed $10,000 for a fireworks display. I know we need 20. I thought it was going to be very easy to get the additional 10. So I don't think the fireworks display was going to be a big hassle for us to get the 10. So I think turning that money down or telling the person who is going to provide that for us, would be a mistake on our part. That's just my opinion. So if you want to continue to vote on ban or not celebrating it at all, that's fine. It's whatever the commission desires. But at the same time, I'd like to wait and see what's actually going to take place from some of the other cities. We know Fort Mitchell has a big parade. Independence has their big thing. And I talked to Edgewood. They're, of course, having their, and they're encompassing it with their concert series as well. And they will have fireworks. So it's going to be a lot of different things over that 4th of July weekend. I think the date that originally Commissioner Braden had talked about was July the 10th. That may be a good date. It may not be. So that's where I'm coming from, and that's my, I guess that's my ask, I guess, today is from a perspective is to really, let's see who's going to do what, and before we actually say we're not going to do anything. And that would be something that I would recommend. So, comments, questions?
I do have a question, Mayor Bell. So are you saying to go ahead with both celebrations, right?
No. I said forget the city, just focus on the 250.
Okay, that's what I wasn't clear
Yes.
on. Okay.
And what I said was that we, all the reasons I listed on the sheet I gave you, I think we need to expound on the patriotism a little bit for our country. I think it's a very difficult time right now, whether you like what's going on or whether you don't like what's going on. And I think it's a great country. I think it deserves some type of celebration, whether it be a county-wide celebration or whether it be individual cities. And I think it would be a mistake for us not to do something, whether you encompass it in a regular concert that we do anyway, we're going to do anyway. And we do have the money for the fireworks, probably. I think we're probably $8,000 short right now, and I haven't heard from everybody back yet. And I'd hate to say, hey, forget it, we don't want your money. So that's where I'm coming from, and that's why I brought it up. And of course, we can have a further discussion. We can wait till January to see what the CAOs are telling me. But Brian Diener at Edgewood is actually going to do a little survey for us to see what's happening. So I think we need to kind of wait and see what's being planned.
Well, thank you. I do agree with, we have probably contracted between at least you and I and I think Commissioner Murray, over 12 people for sure. And it would be hard to say, well, sorry, we changed our minds, we don't really want to do this, and we don't want your money, because we probably wouldn't see it again. And we would have to probably return it to most of those people. They aren't going to want us to hold their money for a year or more. So that would be one of my concerns. So I'd like to hear from everyone else, so that's just my concern.
I would assume most of the people that have offered to donate. This came up because we won't turn 70 until 27. There's going to be a lot of celebrations locally that we're going to be competing with. So it was being proposed as a celebration of the country's 250th, which of course we all agree is a big deal, but also the 70th anniversary of the city, which it is not what we recognize as a 70th anniversary. I think the people that have offered to contribute, if we said we'd really like to do it in 27, that they would continue to. Also, to be realistic, there has been so much turmoil about this celebration. And for me, so much frustration with the organizing and the discussions, sometimes open, sometimes closed, that I think, for me, if we could get the donors to agree to continue to donate in 27, I would rather actually celebrate the city's anniversary in 27, because there is going to be so many local celebrations that we're going to be competing with. And this city had committed to quite a bit of money for this celebration. So I'd like for not only our residents, but the entire Northern Kentucky to enjoy it. And I think when we're competing with Edgewood, which we can't compete with, Independence, which we cannot compete with in reality, in 27 we'll be the only one, and we'll be celebrating our own city's anniversary. I would have beat my husband if he had wanted to celebrate our 50th anniversary, our 49th year. So anyway, that's just my thoughts.
Danny?
My attitude has always been, I can go either way, but as far as having a celebration for the city, but I would like to have one for the country, but I think we can incorporate it with one of our band nights that we do anyway. We do we had 3 last year. We usually do 3 to 4. I mean, we had 4 last year. We usually do 3 at least. So I would say let's have at least one, the band and celebration with the fireworks for that one night. Because if we're going to have the bands anyway, I think it's about time we have to lock something in for otherwise we won't be able to get anything. So I'm fine with doing a celebration for the country with in conjunction with a band, one of our band nights.
There's 2 issues here. One, are we going to separate them and do separately? Secondly, we have already initiated collection of monies with people in the city for the celebration, and they want to know what's going on. We don't, I mean, I'm not trying to be a smart aleck, but it's kind of like we're acting like we don't know what we're doing. And
We kind of don't. I
Well-
mean, there's been so much confusion with this.
well, and you know, one of the people stopped me, one of the managers of a business, and said, we don't care whether it was 27 or 26, let's just do it. Who cares? He said a lot of things have been celebrated in this country incorrectly, that they're not on the date. He said, so that's just one opinion. But there's more than one issue to this, and I don't know that we can just take a vote on one of the issues and leave the other one go. I think we need to discuss both and have an actual opinion. And if Mayor Bell suggested we wait until January, you know, I think we need to let the people know what's going on that have volunteered to donate. And I met with 8 different people for this, and I'm going to have to go back and do whatever. So I would like to know where we're headed. And no, I don't care which way we go. It's up to all of us. But I think we need to make a decision and move forward.
If we decide to do it this year, we definitely need to decide now, because we've got to get a band booked. I think waiting till January is going to even complicate it more.
Well, I just want to reiterate, clarify that we're not talking about the city anymore. We're just talking about
Well, no, that's not been decided yet. That's what we're
I know, but that's what
discussing.
I'm talking
I
about.
know, I heard, yeah, right.
Okay, my turn.
Mark?
If we were to do something this year for the country, you know, as far as, you can find bands that will do music that are, what do you call it, that are God Bless America, you know, that kind of music. Patriotic music, that they'll do that, and we can have that kind of thing, and maybe some fireworks. I definitely think we should hold off until 2027 for our city's celebration, but I can't imagine that Gary Holland and whoever else would say, no, if you don't take my money this year, you're not going to get it next year. He's not that kind of person. You know, if we hold off until next year to do what we want to do, Gary's an honorable person. He will say, that's fine. I honestly feel that way, but I think that we should celebrate our 70th anniversary in 2027, and if we want to do something with a band and maybe some fireworks this year, coming year, that would be okay too. But and I agree with Rose. This has been really kind of a cluster with the way things have been going on who wants what and who doesn't want what, and I just think we need to sit back, regroup, and reorganize, and you know, really figure out what the hell we're doing.
Oh, I'm just glad everybody's talking finally. Because a lot of meetings, no one spoke. So it's good to hear people speak, so at least we know what's going on.
Well, I think there have been a myriad of suggestions on a lot of people's part, and I think the question would be which suggestions you're going to entertain or which ones you're going to say, no, we're not doing that. And unfortunately, with 5 people, there's always 5 different suggestions. Maybe we can settle on 1 or 2 that everybody agrees on and go from there. So I'm literally open to whatever the majority of the commission wants. I just brought out, there's a lot of different things you can do. I'd like to wait and see what other cities are doing before we kind of compose what we're thinking about doing. You can go ahead and book a band because we have our concert series anyway. So it's not like we're doing something special. The only thing we'd be doing special would be inventing the fireworks and incorporating that. And that's specifically for the 250. That's not for, forget the 70, forget Taylor Mill. Just let's focus on what, if anything, we're going to do for the 250, honoring America and honoring, you know, what our country stands for. I just think a lot of kids, and I think it could create a lot of excitement, and I'd like to see a little patriotism advanced in this country with all the turmoil that's going on now. There's nothing wrong with trying to do that. So whatever we do, whatever the commission decides, that's my suggestion. And whatever we do encompassing whatever we finally decide on, that's what you decide on. So that's where I'm coming. I just don't want to vote tonight on not doing anything. So.
Okay, so then I think that we should probably vote to not have the big celebration this next year, but also agree to have band and some other things going on. But we had voted on spending with $30-some thousand for that event. I think we should, in my opinion, vote to rescind that and then move on with having a band and some fireworks or whatever we want to do. But we
wanna
just
make a
need to
motion?
change things around.
Do you want to make a motion?
Brian's not here, but I thought most of that, and correct me if I'm wrong, most of that 33 was for our staff. You know, police, fire, you know, the staffing part of it, the maintenance. That's what I thought. And I thought the fireworks and things, the band, we already know we have the band costs covered because we're getting some dollars from Duke.
I thought we weren't going to use the Duke band money.
I know, but we have money from Duke that we could use for whatever band we want. So that's been already confirmed. So
What are you thinking about that? Didn't we vote to spend that kind of money? That was and I'm not trying to whisper here. It was my thought that we we voted to spend, was it 33?
It was 25 to 33, I
The
thought,
$33,000 for that, and then we would try to get money on top of that
for the
for
fireworks.
fireworks. So, I would say that we should, at this point in time, vote to not do the $33,000, come back in next month and see what the band's going to cost, if we get money for fireworks, and then go from there. But I thought that's what this was all about. When we had our caucus meeting, that's what we had discussed.
Well, like I said, the most, we can probably get Brian, he's not here, of course, but we could probably get him to tell us what the personnel costs would be for an event, any event for that matter. And I always thought that was part of the 33. I wasn't sure that that part was anything to do with the fireworks or the band, because we already really have the band money already from Duke.
Do our department heads remember that at all?
So the 33 included the band, included the personnel cost, and other things like the inflatables and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so that was the band, employee costs, inflatables, and all that. Advertising.
You know, we tried to think of every line item, that it would entail, but it did not include the fireworks.
That's what we were collecting separately.
So we can put this off until January, Mark. I mean,
I think we probably need to book the band if we're gonna do it. It sounds like we wanna have a celebration for the country in 26.
correct.
And then talk about the city's
That's-
70th anniversary
That's not on the agenda anymore.
in 2027.
So
Yes.
I'm with you, Rose. We have to get the bands and for the whole summer, ASAP, before they get booked up. And the one band that we're gonna have in July, we can have the fireworks for that night and make that a little bit more spruced up
Special.
than a regular band night. If
Okay.
that's okay with everybody.
And anything extra we can talk about later.
Right.
But the band has to be booked.
The
So
band, right.
I think what has to be decided tonight is, are we still on with this 250th anniversary? And is that date the date we're keeping? Because bands need to be booked before the next meeting.
Right.
Well, that date was, I think, Commissioner Braden chose that date, right? The 10th?
We all
We
chose
all
that date.
chose it.
We all did,
I
okay.
didn't choose
We
that
voted on
date.
it.
Don't put it on Commissioner.
Okay, so, well, I'm just saying, I can remember.
It was
we
a
all-
date that people were thinking other people wouldn't be needing the bands.
Correct.
That's why we
That's right.
chose the 10th.
And we wouldn't be competing with them.
Right.
So it sounds like that's what we're headed to. It's just, we're just going to keep it as is,
Right.
but we're only talking the band
Well,
right
what's-
now and the fireworks if we get the donations for it.
Correct, that's what.
And
I
then we
would
can,
do.
anything extra we can talk about later, but the band has to be booked.
So we're not going to make a motion about separating these, about how we're doing it tonight. We're just going to tell Christie to go ahead and get the band and put this off until later? Is that what we're doing, or what? No one's made a motion, so I don't know.
I don't think there was a motion,
No,
was there?
No.
I just think we decided on, at the time, of
So I don't
two
think we have to
celebrations,
make a
that we're
motion.
only gonna do one.
Right.
And the 33 was, like Christie just said, is for staffing and the band, of course.
We did approve the monies, we did approve the date in meetings
Okay,
for the events. Those were all approved.
so we'll focus on July the 10th, right? That's
It's
the
up to
date we
everybody.
voted on, right?
Yes, it is.
We'll focus on a band, and we'll focus on, if we continue to get the dollars for the fireworks, we'll focus on that as part of the 250.
and you can make the theme the country celebration.
That's right. Okay. I don't think we need to vote on that. I think it's the agreement, we've already voted
Jack,
on
do
the
we need to
dollars.
change
Yeah,
that? Is
I'll
that
put on
okay?
there.
Just
And we may not even use all that money. We may, remember when that was decided, if we got a lot of donations, we could probably
But we are still going to have a 2020 celebration for the 70th anniversary of the city, though.
In 27, not in 26.
Right, okay.
This is just for
Okay,
the country.
okay, that's fine.
Okay. All right. So move on now to city administrator. I guess you read Brian's report. So we'll move on to the treasurer.
There's something that I had talked to Brian about in his report. It wasn't his report. No, I'll wait till we get on down to the departments.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So treasurer, Tanya.
You guys have my reports. Unless you have any questions, I have nothing else to add to them.
Okay. Sean, engineering.
All right. So we'll start with the Taylor Mill sidewalk phase 3. We're still dealing with, or working with two property owners. There's two parcels that we just haven't accepted. They haven't accepted our offer. They got some challenges with them. One parcel is owned by 4 different owners, so that gets a little messy and takes time. One of the owners is out of state. The other parcel is more of a commercial parcel, so just with that, you have another layer to deal with, usually their attorney. So it just takes a little longer, but we're working through that. We have a meeting with the right-of-way consultant tomorrow, Brian and I, to go over some of the challenges and some of the feedback they last heard, so we can see what we can work through. So still taking some time, but I should know more by the end of this week about the schedule. The Vincent Drive drainage and roadway improvements, we're still working to finalize the plans. We're hoping to bid in early 2026. Terracon, a geotechnical consultant, is going to get to work doing additional borings near some homes where we were concerned with the rock depth. So we have to get some of that information from them so we can finalize the plans. But I believe SD1 and Brian's been talking to several owners. I think we're getting close to finalizing all these things as well. The 2025 street program, unfortunately, the weather caught us. Regular wasn't able to get out there before the weather turned on us, and they're going to be coming out in the spring of next year to finish everything up. Just the asphalt work. All the concrete work has been performed already.
Sean, I have a question. Are we bidding that out soon enough to get these projects done by the end of the year?
Yeah, this one was, but you may recall this one had a water line in front of it.
I do.
So that's why the water line bid process and design process delayed the construction of this one. And it pushed up towards, I think we had it predicted at the end of August, but then the water district project had some delays, had some issues, then that pushed our construction date. We bid it in plenty of time. I forget, it was bid in June.
It was
So
later than usual.
It is later than
It was a
usual.
little later than usual.
It is later than usual, but it was because of the coordination with the water in that district. So generally, this one was the last of the 5-year plan work. There's not, and I'll get into that later, there's not another 5-year plan after this program. So moving forward, we're still going to try to honestly begin the utility coordination once we have the 5-year plan, work with the water district, because they're usually the ones that require the most coordination. And working with them, if you're able to, just do one complete project. Make sure that the water line's replaced ahead of the project, just because you hate to cut up a road right after. So we're going to work through that with the next 5-year plan. But then, once that gets approved and we start, working the plan, then I would say probably November, December timeline frame that we should be reaching out to Northern Kentucky and say, hey, are you sure you're wanting to do this still, or you're not wanting to do anything? And we do the other utilities, but water district's the main one. Early enough so we can complete the design and get their construction in the summer months, not towards the early summer months and not towards the tail end of summer, like we did this year. It was scheduled, if you look through the history of this project, it was scheduled much sooner than what it ended up being, but just with the delays of the water project that,
They had a lot of delays on the one street.
yeah.
They couldn't find what, a electric line or something?
Yeah, that was one issue. They had some issues with some trenching and it's a few things back and forth with the water district I was seeing. So, this is an unfortunate situation, but, we thought we could still squeeze it in. But you just never know in late October, November, how the weather's gonna. We had an early snow this year. That was sort of a rogue snowstorm, but,
Did the utility company, they patched it thinking that we were coming in and paving. Is the patch good enough to last us through the winter?
yes, they actually, originally we had thought that they wouldn't have to do a patch that goes up to the surface, but we decided, actually the water district said, well, we'll go ahead and finish it to the surface, so there's no, inch and a half low, it's not holding water, it's capped off as if it would normally. So, that was good on the water district to, go ahead and put that full trench repair. But, like I said, I just wish we would've got it done this winter, or before winter. The other project, we have Locust Pike Area Water and Sewer Feasibility Study. We're very close to wrapping that up. We got a meeting with Brian, I believe, next week, to go over some of the draft report and some of the alternative, basically the sanitary sewer alignments, what needs to be upsized, what pump stations we need to be in place, sizing of that. We're working through, with SD1 on finalizing those recommendations in advance of our meeting with Brian. And once we have that meeting with Brian to get his overall opinion of it, then we'll be able to finalize the report. So we're close to wrapping that one up. Then, and I just mentioned earlier, the next 5-year comprehensive street maintenance program. The county contracted with InfraHub, and they did all the payment condition ratings. So they used a specialized equipment like a LiDAR machine, and they can actually scan the roadways, and they can look up, search for minor like defects, like where base failures are, where there's extensive cracking. They look at the areas, they measure the length of the cracks. It's pretty cool. And all this is in the GIS database. But we're working with them to extract that information that they've taken all this time and used a lot of technology, a lot of really good information to use that and to develop the next 5-year plan. So rather than just looking at a map with just a line that says, here's your PCR, here's your rating, I wanted the more detailed information, like, well, what's the area of payment failure? What's the length of the cracks total road? What's the total road width and length? Then that way we can use that information to develop more accurate cost projections. So I'm working with that group, and I think I have a meeting with them next week to go over what they put together so far. So it's still back and forth with them, but hopefully they can do a lot of that analysis within their software, so that keeps me from having to do it, honestly. Then we can make that decision within using the tool that they're providing. It's pretty cool. So more to come on that, but that's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for Sean? All right. Fire, Dan?
That's it. For the month, we had a total of 82 calls. Mutual aid given, 1 to Covington, 1 to Fort Wright, 2 to Independence, and 3 to Riley. Mutual aid received, 5 from Covington, 1 from Riley. ALS for the month was 17. BLS was 17. Total hospital transport, 34. Want to take the list, Chief?
Sure. We had 168 hours of training, 352 hours of VMS training. All the medics completed the medic refresher. Last week was the last day for that, so everybody will be able to research for that. And we had 112 department activity hours.
Want to tell them about the ambulance?
The one that had an unfortunate incident, Yeah, it hit a deer going down Pride Parkway a couple Mondays ago, right before Thanksgiving. So it is out being worked on currently. Hopefully we'll get it back by the end of the month is what they're saying.
Always
There was
something.
no patient in the back and nobody was hurt except for the deer.
That's good.
Deer
The
did
deer.
not survive so well, but
I was down in Latonia today. I think I saw our squad going through Latonia today.
possibly, yeah. We made a couple runs down there today.
Is that because of the, they had the sirens and sleighs or whatever? Do they have their squads? It's their version of Santa Claus on a truck, but they had sirens and sleighs or something.
No, we made a squad run today down in Latonia. That's probably what you saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, we weren't doing anything with Covington down there today.
No, I just thought maybe their squads were tied up and you were helping them out.
No, not today, not yet. Yesterday they were.
That's all.
Okay. All right, legal counsel, Jack.
Nothing to report, Mayor.
All right. Parks and Recreation, Mr. Britt.
Our Christmas celebration was called off due to inclement weather. So that's the sad part of the report. But I'm going to let Christy give you the other, we have a few small upcoming things that she'll tell you about.
I just want to remind parents that if they want the children to write a letter to Santa, that needs to be done before next Wednesday. Santa will reply back to the letters if the addresses is provided. Parents also need to make sure that their name is included because the Postal Service has rules, new rules, and so they want to see that name on there, or the letter will be returned. The other thing is we are participating in the Christmas tree recycling program as well as the holiday lights. So people have already been bringing in their Christmas tree lights that are burned out that they don't want. So I would encourage you just to take advantage of those two things. And that's all I have.
Let me say that I was at the south end when Santa Claus came around, and I was at the north end and saw him down there again. And at both ends, Santa Claus did a great job, but the best one of all was Mrs. Santa Claus. No, I mean, again, everybody was just so excited to see that. And I talked to Santa Claus and Mrs. Santa Claus, and they were talking about the older people are just as excited to see Santa Claus as the younger kids are. Yeah, so that's great. It's such a great
You got a free
tradition.
candy cane too, didn't you?
I did. I did.
So I got a picture of my grandson taking a candy cane from Santa.
Do you? Good.
Yeah, that was fun. He was on Morning Glory for sure. All right, moving on. Police, Commissioner Cromwell.
Yeah, I just turn it over to the chief.
You have my report. I don't really have too much to add other than that. It's been a pretty quiet month, so for that.
Are most of your vehicles back up and running now?
Yes and no. I've got two at the county garage right now. I've got one that's getting ready to go out, but we're working through those issues.
Just a comment I have is I was like 1,910 calls for service. That's a lot.
Yep, and that doesn't include vacation or business checks, anything like that. They stay very busy.
So you're busy.
They are.
And your guys did a great job too. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
With Santa Claus.
Did an excellent job. Santa Claus really appreciated it.
That's all I have.
Okay. Public Works, Commissioner Merritt.
I don't let Jerry talk about it, but I do want to say, many comments by residents about what a great job our Public Works did with the snow. It is greatly appreciated. As someone that goes to work extremely early in the morning, I was sitting in my car at 4:15 in the morning, trying to get brave enough on that snowy morning to go out. And here goes a Taylor Mill truck. And I thought for sure they wouldn't have been out that early. And that was my sign to, okay, follow that truck out. But when I came home from work, you guys did a really good job cleaning the roads, and it is appreciated by all of the residents. It really is.
They called us out at 1. car, I saw you getting in your car.
Yeah.
That was me, didn't have to be there. Then I had a hose break just after I passed. I had to get the spare truck.
Yeah, I saw you on the bridge. Were you broke down on the
No,
bridge?
that was a state truck, and he was there a while waiting to have a tire replaced.
Yeah.
He was there for a while, a couple hours.
Yeah, but we appreciate it. We do.
Yeah, we're all ready up for tomorrow night.
Yeah.
We're good. Anything else?
Is, are you, is it?
He's going to give the report.
Okay.
The rest of the report.
Just asking, I don't.
Yeah, we did some truck repairs, we salted the road for us today. We did 41 tons of shovel blacktop into potholes in different areas. And we did, the roads are all listed on my report of what roads that took 2 tons or more. The smaller here, a pothole here and there, I didn't have that in the report. These are roads that took at least 2 tons or more for us to get in. So we're pretty much pothole ready until snow or rain or something takes them out again. We're all good. We're set up ready for snow.
Okay, and I had a question that I held off. I talked to Brian, when we bought those 2 homes, the west property and the walking property, you said you would get those after, and I realize the snow's been there, but you said you could, after the 1st of December. Is that on your radar?
I was on the phone for a little while with Duke today. They're scheduled to cut the power lines and remove all the gas lines out of the property so we can start just as soon as first of the year comes. And I want to try to do it on a frozen so that the machine doesn't get marred down in the mud. So once it's cold, I'll call in the dumpster trucks and have an excavator there to tear it up. It shouldn't take too long to do. As soon as Duke does it, as soon as they do their job. The lady says, 1 to 2 weeks, but she says it usually doesn't take that long. We have to tell you that in a couple of weeks. And she did mention that one of the gas removal, that the government, not the government, the government entity, being the city, will get a paper saying they need to have the city sign off for them to come in and take that gas line out. Give them to cut the power line down, she said, but to remove all the entire service, cut it off the road, the city has to sign off on that for some reason.
Yeah, the reason why I ask, I've had a few people stop me, let's face it, they're eyesores right now with the board, the windows are boarded up and it's overgrown, and people stop and ask me, when are they coming down? So I wanted to.
With the snow coming in and getting our trucks already, we've been pretty busy, but after the first year, first solid ground, very.
Okay.
That it?
All right, yep, thanks.
So we have one more item of business to tend to before we call for adjournment, and that is to take a vote on canceling the December caucus meeting. Motion by Commissioner Kromborg, second by Commissioner Braden. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Kromborg?
Yes.
Commissioner Braden?
Yes.
Commissioner Murray?
Yes.
Commissioner Merritt?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes. Okay, so one more thing, our next commission meeting is January the 9th, and that would be 2026.
I don't think it's January 9th.
Well,
I'm
this
sorry,
says
yeah,
February.
2026. I know, it says,
Yeah, okay.
you have to talk to Christie about that.
Uh-oh.
January 9th is a Friday.
This says February the 11th.
Yeah, so we got to update that, but you're right, Mark. You're
I
right.
think it's,
So January, when is the second Wednesday?
14th.
14th.
Okay, so that's what it says on my book, so we'll just put the 14th in there. All right, so motion to adjourn.
I'd like to say something.
Okay.
First, I gotta, spoke to Santa Claus and he wanted to make sure that, Tony, from the maintenance department did a fantastic job. In fact, even, got out of the truck and ran some candy canes up some residents that couldn't get out of their house. So I wanted to make sure Tony got recognized for that. I also want to make sure that 31st December, city bills are due. Good news and bad news. And 5 o'clock after 5, you're going to get penalized. And
Once you.
say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and Happy Kwanzaa, and Happy Hanukkah, and Anybody else that I missed?
Merry Christmas.
Okay, so I know everybody on the commission here would like to wish everybody in Taylor Mill a Merry Christmas.
Right.
Happy New Year. So you have any individual comments before we, and I'll get to you in a minute. Anyone wish happy
No.
Merry Christmas? Okay.
Merry Christmas.
Eddie, what?
We found an earring on the floor here tonight, so forgive it, Christie, but that was
Okay.
An earring?
Yes.
I don't think it's
The
marked.
diamonds?
My ears aren't pierced, so. All right.
Okay. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
By Commissioner Barrett, second by Commissioner Murray. Voice call vote, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, meeting's adjourned.
Aye, aye, aye.